Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my coloring corner. Today is, of course, our Sunday, and we will be having a reading of the Mystical Lands Chronicles, Book 2, Christmas, Crystals, and the Chrysalis. Today, we have a special treat because I'm not going to be reading it to you. Today, we have Karen E. Myers, the author and artist of the Mystical Lands books, reading for you. So, without further ado, thank you, Karen, very much for doing this and for reading this to us and creating this wonderful story. I can't wait until you finish it. So, please give all your comments and all your love to Karen and have a wonderful day. And of course, always remember to like, comment, and subscribe to any YouTube artist that you enjoy. And always remember to relax, color, and stay safe, everyone. Please have a wonderful day and a great listen to Chapter 5 of the Mystical Lands Chronicles, Book 2, Christmas, Crystals, and the Chrysalis. All right, guys, enjoy.
A reading from the Mystical Lands Chronicles, Book 2, Christmas, Crystals, and the Chrysalis, by Karen E. Myers. Part 2, Chapter 5. A mighty gust of wind whirled through the bare trees as Lila, the luminary, and Lila's animal companions ventured back into the Whispering Woods. The ancient map of the mystical lands in Lila's grasp was a detailed, yellowed parchment with markings etched across its surface. It bore symbols of swirling dragons, crescent moons, and stars, all leading to the ominous Skull Island, where the Dark King resided. "Remember, Lila," the luminary intoned, his voice echoing softly amongst the snow-laden trees. "We must follow the path marked by the Star of Illumination. It will guide us safely through these woods." His eyes were moonlit pools, exuding both wisdom and warmth. "Yes, we will let the star guide us," Lila whispered, her breath clouded in the frosty air. She clutched the map tighter, thinking of her mother, alone and vulnerable, while her daughter braved the perils of the world beyond their village in search of salvation. As they journeyed through the snowy forest, the chattering of fox, squirrel, and rabbit filled the air like a symphony, punctuated by the occasional rustling of the snow-covered branches overhead. Their telepathic voices comforted Lila and brought smiles to her face, even on the most treacherous parts of their journey. "Look over there," Squirrel chirped excitedly, her bushy tail quivering. Lila's gaze followed her outstretched paw to a clearing up ahead. A sight straight from a storybook greeted their eyes, an elven village shimmering with Christmas magic. The village was adorned with twinkling fairy lights that cast a warm glow upon the snow. Adorable cottages, their roofs blanketed in white, stood proudly alongside one another. Each door was bedecked with a festive wreath of pine branches, holly leaves, and bright red berries. The windows displayed scenes of elves cheerfully celebrating the season, their laughter spilling into the night. Lila and the luminary marveled at the enchanted tableau before them. Aromas of gingerbread and cinnamon wafted from a nearby bakery, mingling with the sweet scent of elven sugar plums. The village's main street was lined with an array of shops, including apparel stores that showcased delicate garments made from fine silk and homespun spider webs. And amidst it all, a quaint gift shop caught Lila's eye, its window display filled with trinkets that glittered like fallen stars. "Such beauty," Lila murmured, her voice thick with wonder. "It feels like a dream." She longed to explore this idyllic town, its charm beckoning her like an old friend. "Truly," the luminary agreed, his voice a soft caress. "But we must not forget our mission, dear Lila. We have much ground to cover before we reach the Dark King's lair." "Yes, of course," she nodded, her commitment settling back in. As they continued through the elven village in the Whispering Woods, Lila focused on the task at hand, but was occasionally distracted by the festivity around her. As Lila and the luminary strolled down the snow-dusted cobblestone path, The air was filled with the harmonious melodies of old Yuletide carols. Elves clad in shimmering robes wandered the main road, their laughter tinkling like silver bells as they raised their wooden mugs to toast with spiced cider. Rabbit, squirrel, and fox scampered alongside Lila, their fur glistening beneath the soft glow of fairy lights entwined around the village lampposts. "Welcome, travelers," a flute-like voice called out, drawing their attention to a beautiful elf standing by an enchanted fountain. Her eyes sparkled like jewels. Her silky golden hair cascaded down her back in waves, adorned with tiny twinkling stars. She wore an exquisite gown of spun silver that hugged her slender frame, and her delicate ears were graced with the slightest hint of a point. "Hello," Lila responded, her voice hushed in amazement. "My name is Lila, and this is the Luminary. We're on a quest to defeat the Dark King." "Ah, I've heard whispers of your journey," the elf girl said, offering them a warm smile. "I am Eva, daughter of Elriel, the village elder. Allow me to assist you during your stay in our humble abode." "We are grateful, Eva," Lila replied. "Your village is truly magical." Eva gracefully inclined her head. "It is our pleasure to help those who seek to protect the mystical realms from darkness. But beware, brave Lila, for danger lies ahead." Her voice lowered to a solemn whisper, and her eyes darkened with concern. "The cursed ones roam in these woods, doing the bidding of the Dark King." Lila's heart caught in her throat, remembering the symbols she had seen when she first entered the Whispering Woods. "The cursed ones? In these woods?" she inquired, her voice trembling. "Unfortunately," Eva confirmed, her gaze locked on Lila's. "They are vile creatures, their souls tainted by darkness. They raid villages, taking mysticals hostage and stealing the magic crystals for their nefarious lord." As Eva spoke, the shadows around them seemed to grow darker, swallowing the cheer of Yuletide carols and laughter. The cursed ones were said to be tall and lanky, their skin a sickly shade of gray. Their eyes were empty black pits, devoid of any light or warmth. Armed with twisted daggers carved from dragon bone, they moved with eerie silence, leaving only death and destruction in their wake. "Be vigilant, Lila," Eva implored, her voice heavy with worry. "You must become stronger and more skilled if you are to face these monsters and emerge victorious." "I shall do my best, Eva," Lila whispered, strength of purpose once again surging through her veins. She turned to the Luminary, her hand instinctively seeking his for comfort. "We will not let the Dark King win. Nor shall we allow the cursed ones to prevail," the Luminary added, his voice resolute and unwavering. "Together we will protect the mystical lands and all its inhabitants, no matter the cost." Guided by Eva's wisdom as they continued, Lila felt her connection to the magic within her deepen. With every step closer to the Dark King's lair, she vowed to hone her skills and unlock the full potential of her power. For in the face of evil, love and light would always triumph. As Lila and the Luminary bade farewell to the festive elven village, they decided to give their newfound friends a parting gift. Standing in the center of the village square, Lila pulled out her magic crystal, its shimmering surface casting radiant beams of light across the snow-dappled cobblestones. "Listen well, my friends," the Luminary called out, his voice ringing with authority. "We shall bestow upon you the spell of protection, that you may be safeguarded against the cursed ones and other dark forces." The elves gathered around, their eyes wide with awe as Lila and the Luminary raised their hands in unison. "By the power of the Shard of Illumination," they intoned together, their voices melding into a single harmonious chant, "we invoke the sacred barrier of light, of the pure-hearted. Let naught but love and light pass through." A brilliant aura of white light erupted from the magic crystal, enveloping the entire village in a protective shield. The elves gasped, their faces aglow with wonder. Eva stepped forward and hugged Lila tightly, whispering her thanks into the young girl's ear. Stay safe, Eva, Lila whispered back, her emerald eyes shimmering with unshed tears. Remember us, and remember our shared purpose. With heavy hearts, Lila, the luminary, and their animal companions left the elven village behind, venturing deeper into the whispering woods. As they journeyed on, they encountered the most peculiar denizens of the forest, a group of talking mushroom people and tree spirits. The mushroom people were small, rotund beings with colorful caps, which seemed to sprout directly from the earth. Their bulbous noses twitched constantly as if sampling the air around them, while their tiny mouths chattered incessantly. Though their appearance was odd, their knowledge of the forest and its secrets proved invaluable to Lila and her companions. "Ah, young Lila," one particularly wise mushroom named Morel greeted her. "You seek to harness the power of the magic crystal and defeat the Dark King, do you not? We, the humble children of the earth, are here to help." Morel was as tall as Lila's knee, with leathery flesh that was brownish in color. His single white eye darted back and forth as he spoke in a high voice, like the sound of a soft rainfall. Lila recalled the poor, sickly mushroom man she had encountered in the beginning of her quest. Thankfully, these mushroom people were still healthy and robust. "Yes, most certainly," rumbled a nearby tree spirit. Its rough, wrinkled face peered down from the ancient trunk it inhabited. The knots and veins of its face possessed a strange beauty, only seen under the gaze of true magic, and the winter breeze blew its long beard of vines and leaves behind it, as if it were waving to Lila. Its voice was like the creaking of branches in a storm, yet filled with wisdom and kindness. "The balance of the mystical lands is at stake, and we shall aid you in any way we can." With that, Lila delighted in the sacred knowledge shared with her by the tree spirits and the mushroom people, humbly accepting their teachings. Lila found solace in the company of these strange new friends. The mushroom people shared with her the secrets of the earth, teaching her how to draw strength from the ground beneath her feet. The tree spirits, on the other hand, whispered to her of the wind and the skies, helping her to understand the boundless nature of her own emotions. The mushroom people had gone into intricate detail about the divine process of energizing the magic crystals with the power of full moons. Every full moon was given a special name according to its month: the ice moon, the dragon moon, the wisdom moon, and during each one of these sacred full moon nights, the corresponding crystals could absorb and store enough energy to last them through all 4 seasons. It was left to the brother gnomes to conduct this noble ceremony of charging the stones. They were also responsible for unearthing them from deep within the ground. Lila learned much about crystal magic from the mushrooms and trees. "Remember, Lila," the luminary reminded her gently as they practiced, "your heart is your greatest weapon, but also your greatest vulnerability. Learn to control your emotions, and the power of the magic crystal will flow through you unimpeded." Lila pondered his words, focusing her thoughts and feelings into a singular point of determination. With every step closer to the Dark King's lair, she felt the power within her grow stronger, fueled by the love and support of all those who believed in her. As the woods thinned, the icy cold wind blew, and the dry, dead leaves crunched and swirled. A barely audible "thank you" escaped Lila's lips, directed to the whispering woods and its remarkable, mystical creatures. She promised that she wouldn't let them down. Beyond the whispering woods, Lila and her companions ventured into a different realm, a different terrain. The Briar Thorns was an ancient maritime forest, stretching out from the southern edge of the whispering woods to the South Sea. In the Briar Thorns, the trees became sparse, and they were shorter than the towering trees of the whispering woods. Gnarled, thorny undergrowth blanketed the forest floor, sticking out like spikes to ward off unwanted visitors. The new landscape was unwelcoming and hostile, and they waded through the bushes with caution while the cold winter wind howled menacingly through the thicket. As Lila practiced with the shard of illumination, She found herself drawn into a rhythm of movements that seemed to dance with the very elements themselves. She swayed gracefully, her fingertips tracing patterns in the air as she channeled the crystal's power into shimmering arcs of magic. The luminary watched her intently, his eyes reflecting the same radiant glow that enveloped her. His presence filled her with warmth and courage, and she longed to share this feeling with him. "Your connection with the shard is growing stronger, Lila," the luminary said softly, his voice crackling like fire on the hearth. "But remember, the true source of its power lies within you. Embrace it and let it guide you." "I shall," she replied, her cheeks flushed with both effort and gratitude. "I could not have gotten this far without your help." "Nor I without yours," he admitted, stepping closer to her. Their gazes locked for a moment. Time seemed to stand still within the briar thorns. The world around them faded away, leaving only the two of them bathed in the ethereal light of their intertwined destinies. As he gently brushed a stray lock of hair from her face, Lila felt her heart swell with love and admiration for the man who had become not just her mentor, but her dearest companion. "Perhaps we were always meant to find each other," the luminary whispered, his breath warm against her skin. "The light and the protector, united by faith and bound by purpose." "Perhaps," she echoed, her voice barely audible above the rustling leaves and the soft murmurs of the creatures that shared their journey. As they leaned in for a tender kiss, Lila knew she had found something more precious than any magic, a love that would sustain her even in the darkest of times. The festive time of Christmas and Yule had passed, replaced by the cold, dark days of deepest winter. One day they came upon a churning river, its waters inky and turbulent with the force of an unseen current. The bridge that once spanned its treacherous depths had long since crumbled, leaving only a few precious stepping stones between them and the other side. As Lila cautiously ventured onto the first stone, she felt the pull of the water on her legs, threatening to sweep her away. "Stay focused, Lila," the luminary called out, his voice steady and reassuring. "Remember what you learned from the mushroom people and the tree spirits. Draw your strength from the earth and let it anchor you." Gritting her teeth, Lila concentrated on the sensations beneath her feet, feeling the firmness of the stone and the raw power of the river's current. She imagined herself as a tree, rooted in place by the sheer force of her will, and took another step forward. The water surged against her, but she remained steadfast, guided by the unwavering light of the luminary's faith in her abilities. One by one, the remaining stepping stones fell behind her, until at last she stood triumphant on the far bank. "Remarkable," the luminary said, his eyes shining with pride as he joined her. "You truly are the protector the prophecy foretold." "Only because I have the light to guide me," she replied, intertwining her fingers with his as they set off to face the next challenge together. And as they strode deeper through the briar thorns, their rabbit, fox, and squirrel companions bounding at their sides, Lila could feel the weight of destiny settling upon her shoulders, a mantle of responsibility she now knew she was ready to bear. The chilly woodland air grew heavier with an unseen power. The snow-kissed leaves of the ancient trees seemed to drink in the dim winter sunlight. Lila felt the warm brush of the luminary's arm against her own, her heart quickening in response. She smiled inwardly, content in the company of her soulmate and her animal companions. Just when all seemed well, the travelers suddenly heard desperate, muffled cries up ahead. When they rounded a bend, their eyes widened in shock. In front of them was a giant chrysalis dangling from a tree branch, tightly bound around its middle by heavy rope. The screams were coming from within it, as though something inside was in terrible agony. The wailing was like the screeching of 1,000 banshees, and it was all Lila could do to stop herself from running away. "What is this?" Lila gasped with fear and concern. "Help me, please," the tortured voice begged from inside. "The cursed ones have trapped me inside my chrysalis using dark magic, and I cannot break free." What shall we do? Lila asked in desperation. You know what to do, replied the luminary. Use your power to free this poor creature. Lila clasped the shard of illumination in her hand, envisioning the ropes falling away from the chrysalis. She commanded boldly, Be liberated, and watched as the cords released their hold on the cocoon-like casing. The brittle shell shattered with the sound of breaking glass as it tumbled to the ground, revealing a magnificent, magical butterfly. The insect hung upside down, clinging to the sturdy tree branch, now freed from its prison. The stunning butterfly shimmered with myriad brilliant colors, its delicate wings fluttering gently like weightless clouds. Thank you, dear protector, the beautiful butterfly whispered. You surely saved my life. It's an honor to help, Lila replied modestly. But how do you know me? The news of your coming has spread like wildfire throughout the mystical lands, the butterfly answered. We are all grateful that you have arrived and hope that you will soon put a stop to the cursed ones and the wicked Dark King. The magical insect descended from its branch and climbed onto the broken chrysalis shell on the snow-covered ground. It removed a tiny golden bead from the chrysalis's fragile outer casing. The shine on it was like a rare coin. Take this, the butterfly said, offering Lila the treasure. When combined with the magic of your crystal shard, it can increase any spell's power. Maybe it can be of use in your struggle against the Dark King. Lila accepted the golden bead gratefully. Thank you, butterfly, she said as her eyes sparkled with gratitude. We wish you well-being and happy flight. The giant butterfly nodded and flew away into the treetops. The luminary smiled at Lila in approval and said, Well done! Your capabilities and insight are growing more powerful every day. This made Lila beam with joy. To be able to use her magical abilities to benefit another creature was truly fulfilling for her. So with smiles on their faces, Lila, the luminary, and their animal friends pressed onward down the winding, mysterious woodland footpath, noticing the eerie but now familiar symbols etched into the trees, becoming more frequent as they continued. Look, murmured the luminary, gesturing toward a clearing where the ground was covered in a thicker layer of thorns and branches. This must be the Forsaken Garden mentioned on the ancient map. It must be, Lila whispered, gripping the edge of the shard of illumination, hanging securely from the strong cord nestled close to her heart. She could feel its energy pulsing through her veins, merging with her own newfound abilities. Drawing on the lessons she had learned from the mushroom people and tree spirits, she closed her eyes and inhaled deeply, focusing on the rhythmic thrumming of the earth beneath her feet. Thornus fractura, Lila intoned, her voice steady and sure as she traced a glowing sigil in the air. The brambles withered and twisted before them, parting like a living curtain to reveal a narrow path through the treacherous, thorny maze. Your mastery of the shard's power is truly inspiring, the luminary said, his words enveloping Lila like a warm embrace. Together they traversed the twisting paths of the Forsaken Garden, the branches overhead weaving a canopy that cast long, spectral shadows across their path. In the uncertain darkness, Lila found herself drawing closer to the luminary, her hand slipping into his as if guided by an unseen force. And when he smiled down at her, his eyes alight with affection, she felt a swell of love rise within her like the tide, threatening to consume her entirely. Skull Island lies in the South Sea just beyond this treacherous expanse, the luminary told her, his voice hushed in reverence. The Dark King's stronghold is a fortress of nightmares built upon a foundation of stolen dreams and shattered hopes. Lila shuddered as he painted a vivid picture of Skull Island, its craggy shores adorned with gleaming crystals plundered from the mystical lands, the ominous silhouette of the castle carved into the very rock of the island, its base hidden beneath the waves, but unmistakably shaped like a giant skull. From the highest tower, flame shot up into the sky like the breath of an ancient dragon, casting eerie shadows over the desolate landscape. His defenses are formidable, the luminary continued, speaking of magical barriers and fearsome guardians conjured by the Dark King's corrupted power. The cursed ones would be standing guard also, but I believe that together we can overcome them and save your mother and the entire mystical lands. As they emerged from the Forsaken Garden, they reached the rocky shoreline, and their spine-chilling destination loomed before them. Lila paused at the edge of a precipice, her breath catching in her throat, as, from the shore, she gazed upon the vast expanse of sea that stretched before her. In the distance, a menacing silhouette loomed in the twilight. Skull Island, its jagged outline bathed in an otherworldly glow from the countless stolen crystals adorning its shores. The skies overhead turned an ominous shade of black, appearing to simmer like a cauldron filled with boiling oil. Lila could feel the blood drain from her face and hands, leaving them cold. "Are you ready, Lila?" the luminary asked, his voice barely more than a whisper. He stood beside her, his cloak billowing in the wind, the ancient map clutched in one hand. The parchment had led them through treacherous terrain and enchanted forests, guiding them ever closer to their harrowing destination. Now they stood at the very edge of the sea and the edge of the unknown. Lila took strength from the unwavering faith in the luminary's eyes. She knew now that she would face any challenge, conquer any fear, for the sake of this love that burned within her like an eternal flame. "I am," replied Lila, her green eyes blazing with determination. She could feel the magic crystal's warmth, energy pulsing against her chest, a constant reminder of the power that lay within her grasp. She knew that the fate of her mother, and indeed the entire mystical lands, rested upon their success in defeating the Dark King. Fox, squirrel, and rabbit huddled close, their small bodies shivering in the chilled, salty air. Their telepathic voices filled Lila's mind with encouragement and support, their stalwart loyalty a source of comfort amidst the growing darkness. "Then let us make haste," the luminary said, his eyes narrowing as he scrutinized the ancient map. "According to the legends, there is a hidden cave along this coastline. Within it lies a portal that will take us to the heart of Skull Island." And so, with their hearts entwined and destiny at their heels, they stepped forward into the unknown, ready to embrace whatever darkness awaited them on the shores of Skull Island. Together they descended the rocky cliffside, their path illuminated by the soft, silvery light of the moon. Lila felt her pulse racing with each step, pounding time with the rhythmic crashing of the waves far below. As they reached the base of the cliff, a subtle scent of magic permeated the air, tendrils of power that seemed to beckon them closer. Lila clutched her cloak, drawing it more tightly to her as the icy sea spray pelted her skin like miniature glass shards. "Over there," Lila whispered, pointing to a shadowy crevice nestled between two massive boulders. As they approached, the darkness within the cave seemed to undulate and shimmer, as if alive with ancient enchantments. "Be on your guard," the luminary warned, his voice tinged with caution. "The portal may be guarded by unseen forces." Lila nodded, her hand instinctively reaching for the magic crystal hanging from her neck. She could feel its energy humming beneath her fingertips, ready to be unleashed at a moment's notice. They entered the ghostly cave, their footsteps echoing softly as they delved deeper into the shadows. On the walls of the cavern, they discovered crude drawings that mirrored the frightening symbols Lila had seen on the gates of Norshire and the trees in the forest. "Remember, Lila," the luminary murmured, his gaze fixed on the inky blackness ahead. "Trust in your abilities and the bond we share. The love that connects us will guide us through any darkness we may face." As the words left his lips, a warmth filled Lila's chest, radiating outward until she felt as though she were enveloped in a protective embrace. It was true. No matter what obstacles lay before them, Skull Island, the love that bound her to the luminary, would give her the strength to overcome them all. At last, they stood before the portal, a swirling vortex of brilliant light and shadow. Lila and the luminary exchanged a resolute glance, then stepped forward, hand in hand, their furry animal companions at their heels. "Tomorrow we fight," Lila vowed, her voice filled with quiet resolve. "For my mother, for the mystical lands, and for our love." She wondered if her guiding archangel, Zanphael, could see that she was preparing for battle. With that, they vanished into the portal, leaving behind only the howling of the wind and the echoing roar of the sea as they hurled toward the heart of darkness, undaunted by the trials that lay ahead. And that concludes the chapter.